Today we're going to be installing the Piolk banner. You're going to need a few things. First, you'll need common rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol and a microfiber or a paper towel. This is for cleaning the windshield, removing any grease or residue that'll prevent the vinyl from sticking well. Next, you're going to need masking tape to help hold the banner down while you're lining it up, a squeegee to get out air bubbles or a credit card if you don't have one of these, a sharp X-Acto knife or razor blade to trim the vinyl around the edges, and of course, your banner. So before we started filming, we already removed all of the excessive, dirt and bugs, stuff like that. If your car has not been washed, you would just want to clean that off with soap and water like you would normally wash your car. So first, I'm just going to take this alcohol here. I'll spray down the area that's generally going to be covered by the banner. And just give it a wipe with the microfiber. The alcohol doesn't leave any residue, so you don't need to worry about rinsing it off when you're done. Now that that's taken care of, we can start to line up the banner. So first thing we did is we just laid the banner on the car here. We have it taped down in a few places just to hold it there. Since these banners are designed to fit a variety of vehicles, it's up to you to decide how low you want it to sit on the windshield. We recommend sitting inside the car and seeing how low it comes down into your field of vision. It's entirely up to you how low you would like it to sit. When it comes to lining it up, some people choose to use tape measures to measure from the bottom of the windshield or the top. I prefer just to use the natural lines of the car and the edges of the vinyl to help me get it lined up, so I'll show you guys how I do that. In order to get the height of the vinyl even, I'm going to be looking at where the top edge of this lines up with the window trim here. For this car, I'm going to be mounting it as low as possible, but I still want to make sure I leave enough vinyl to be trimmed once it's been applied so that we don't run out. In order to get the lengths even, I'm going to compare side to side on how much vinyl is hanging over the A-pillar here. Basically, I'll just keep walking back and forth, readjusting and sticking down the tape until I'm happy with it. So now we have the banner centered and level. The next thing we need to do is create a center hinge using tape. This is what will actually keep the banner aligned while we're applying the vinyl. So take a big strip of tape, you'll put it right through the middle of the banner, and you want to stick some down onto the windshield and some down onto the roof above it. Just like that. So one thing I forgot to mention you will need is scissors. This is for cutting the backing off the vinyl once you lift it up. And it also helps to have a friend. You can do this alone, but it'll be a bit trickier. So you'll peel the vinyl off the windshield from the tape that was holding it down. Start to peel the backing off, and I'll pass this to my friend. You'll peel it all the way up to the center hinge, making sure that the letters stay stuck onto the transfer tape. That's of course important. Alright, so once you've got it peeled all the way back, you'll take your scissors, cut this backing off. Go ahead and get that out of the way. Grab your squeegee. And we're going to start to stick the vinyl down. Starting, of course, from the center. Now that we have one side complete, we can go ahead and head over to the next. So the first thing you want to do is to remove this center hinge tape now. It's not needed anymore now that the rest of the banner is holding it in place. And again, we're going to be careful that it won't peel up the transfer tape or anything like that. As long as you're using a proper masking tape and not like duct tape or electrical tape, this shouldn't be a problem. So peel it off just like that. I'm going to pass the banner back over to my buddy again, where I'm going to remove the backing from this half. In the same case as before, where we want to be careful that all the letters stay onto the transfer tape and don't stay stuck to the backing. If you notice the letter starting to come off, all that's required is to start sticking it back onto the transfer tape. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. Sometimes this half can be a bit trickier just because it's usually a little bit longer than the first. But we'll start again with squeegeeing from the center. Alright, and there you go. Now the banner is stuck down, the scary part's over. So what we did after we cut was we removed the tape that was still on the banner that we had used earlier to hold it on, and we also went over everything, squeegeed it really well, because what we're going to be doing next is removing this transfer tape, and you want to be certain that the banner is stuck down good enough so that when you pull the tape off, the banner doesn't come up with it. So I'll start from a corner, and I'll start to peel this up. You want to make sure not to stick down the vinyl that's hanging over the edge here, because we're just going to end up cutting it off anyway, and it's just more of a pain if you have to peel it off your paint. Again, be careful with the letters. They should be stuck down pretty well at this point, and if they do start to come up, just stick them back down with the tape and be a little bit more careful the second time. What we're going to be doing now is tucking and trimming the vinyl along the edge of this windshield gasket. To start doing that, we need to squeegee a little bit closer to the edge of the windshield that we were able to initially. So I'm going to pull up the vinyl here along the edge until I'm to the part that still has air trapped in it. I'm going to grab the squeegee again and squeegee all the way up to the edge of the windshield this time. I'm going to have to do that along the whole perimeter of the banner. And you want to be careful when you're tugging on the vinyl here to not stretch it too much, or you might have some wrinkles in the finished product, and we obviously don't want that. Alright, now that that's been taken care of, we're going to start trimming it with the X-Acto knife. So now I'm going to take my X-Acto knife here. You want to make sure you have a really sharp one. If your knife is dull, it's going to end up just tugging and pulling on the vinyl more than it's actually cutting it. What we want to do is we're going to cut slightly above the edge of the windshield trim, because we're going to end up tucking it underneath with a squeegee. If you cut too far away, you'll have exposed parts of the windshield showing. With a black banner, it won't look too bad, but if you have a lighter color, it's really going to stand out. So I'll go along here very carefully. I'm cutting maybe 3 millimeters above the edge of the gasket. You want to cut really lightly with a single pass if possible, just deep enough to cut the vinyl so that you're not damaging your window trim. And I'll go all the way up the side here to the end. And I'm going to peel this vinyl off. And there we go, we had a good cut. I got all the way through. When you pull it off, you want to be careful. There might be some spots you have to cut a little bit deeper at. Now that vinyl's been removed, we're going to take our squeegee again, and we're going to pull back on the windshield trim with our fingertips as we stick the squeegee under. And we'll just slowly work it in. Until we're getting it all the way under. Now that we're to the corner here, we're going to have to start along that top edge. And we're basically just going to be doing the same thing. There you go, the banner's been installed. You might find that you have some air bubbles. Large bubbles, it's best to try to push them out with the squeegee towards the edge of the vinyl. But small ones will bake out in the sun, so you don't really need to worry about them. Overall, the process might seem complicated, but it's pretty simple. As long as you take your time, you'll find you'll be able to do a really good job putting it on.